Right, guys, absolutely beautiful weather here in Bulgaria these days. Beautiful, not crispy mornings, but fresh mountain air mornings. Beautiful. We can, you can feel the air. Beautiful, and up to then 25 degrees. That's what it's been for the last 8, 9, 10 days. Fantastic. Anyway, um, uh, I've been watching a few of these Yak Motley and Brit rants. I like these things because you're getting an idea of how people think and why they're mouthing off on TikTok and things like that. And a lot of it's just to get something off the chest because they're so frustrated with what they find themselves in. Or in some cases, which is what I'll discuss now, is the mess that they get themselves into by listening to narratives and listening to anything really without thinking properly. Now, I've always thought about solar and is it worth it? Isn't it worth it? Is it worth? Well, a lot of the time it is. It's not because if you do the sums, that's all you've got to do with a lot of things. And I'll just touch on another couple of things. If you do the sums, and actually some of the Brit rants and I say like, why didn't anybody teach us this in school? Well, there's your chance because you've got people like me. You've got all the stuff that you need to know is on YouTube, and all you got to do is listen to it and then do as you please. So solar, you just do the logic and the sums. There's two things involved here: logic and sums. Mainly sums, really. So, like, how much is the average array going to cost on the roof, right? And how long is it going to last? When are you going to get your money back? Because you'll still have bills, but it might reduce them. But you'll still have bills, right? People think like get solar, that's it, job done, bingo, no bills. But some people think that. Some people, that's how they paint it anyway. So anyway, but you still get bills anyway when you don't want them. When you're going to be using the most electricity, that's when you don't have solar. That's just another logical thing. Anyway, so the takeaway from Yak Motley, he does like TikTok rants, and he does a little bit of a narrative about it, about like why these people are in this mess and what these what's his opinion, and that's what I'm going to give. So I priced some solar here just as a backup, just as like for let's say power cuts and that. But like, and we do get quite a few here, but like it doesn't really affect really much anything, even quite a long power cut because I've got auxiliary heating and gas, cook on gas. So all you need apart from that really is light, and that's easy. That's easy. You can get all sorts of lighting, rechargeable batteries, you name it. So really, I mean, if you set up like a frugal prepper, who have always been deemed and mocked nutcases and mocked by the mainstream, whoever. I saw a couple of programs on preppers in the UK, and they were ridiculed. They were on all the rest of it, but they're not now because they're being people are being told to be preppers now by the government, and their prepping is pathetic. They're saying like prep for 72 hours. Anyway, back to the solar. So the first question is, are you going to stay in your house forever? Right? Secondly, when will your roof need doing? Because in America, they don't know about these shingles. They're like what you put on sheds. They're like asphalt shingles. And they were saying they only last for 5 years. A roof lasted 5 years. And they'd have to take all the solar off. And the shingles. Put the shingles back on. And then put a load more holes in it. For the solar to go back on. And the holes, and there's an insurance kind of problem there as well. Some insurance companies are flagging it up about the roof. Because they put silicone around, but if anybody knows about silicone, it doesn't last long in direct sunlight and freezing weather and things like that. So they all invariably get leaks in the roof. So they're paying maybe 10 grand. So there's where the sums come in straight away. How long would it take you? How much your bills average over the year? And would solar, how much long would it take you to get to 10 grand for 50% of your bills? 50%. Work on 50%, because that's what you're going to save, right? Don't just work out how much you pay in electric and divide by 10 grand, because that's not what's going to happen, right? So you're still going to be paying 50% of what you're paying now. Maybe. Probably. Most probably. Right. 50%. So you'd have to times it by 2 to get and then get to 10 grand or whatever you're going to pay. And then you've got to pay. Then you've got to think about like the maintenance. Is it going to be storage batteries, which are a fire hazard, which is also being flagged by lithium-ion batteries, being flagged by insurance companies and then you've got the warranties and all that, and how long are these going to last? Now, I can kind of tell you from a little bit of experience of other people having them that after 10 years they're like they're either not working or they're like only working at a fraction of the capacity that they're supposed to. So that's what they're going to last. So you've got to then think about the sums of how long it'll take you to get your money back. Then after that, really, you should be in the black then. You should be making money then. After they've paid for themselves. Right? But that's when they fail. So you're going to do all this to break even, probably. My daughter had a huge array, and it was like the bells and whistles. They had everything, and they actually bought the house with this stuff in it. It was already done, and it wasn't on the roof. It was an array up along the back fence, and it was like very impressive. And they couldn't boil a kettle because it was old. Well, not old in like if you'd have electricity in a house, that should work for forever. But like they were maybe 10 years, 12 years old, and they didn't work. And the array they had this switchboard and all the inverters and everything. It was very impressive, and it was impressive. It didn't work. So that's just a true story. And I know other people who've had them, and they don't talk about them after a while. And well, if they were what they say they were doing, and then you were making money, that which should be the idea. For me, anyway. I mean, you got to wait anyway. I think they said in the UK it was 7 years this one person I knew, they got this array on the roof, and it was 7 years to break even, right? And let's say they last, I don't know, 10 years, whatever. So you're going to get 3 years of useful savings, but by then they're usually going downhill, you know. So there's that. And then there's selling the house, because a lot of people finance these things and then they want to move. And that's another thing. And the statistics are that people move. People move all the time. And they're going to be moving. And a lot of people don't want to move in to these places because they've got these solar panels, which some people know are a liability. And especially if they ask the owner, how long have you had the solar? If they say like 8 years, 10 years, it'll be coming to the end of its life. And then a lot of them are financed, and they finance them over long periods of time to make the figures look good, what you're saving on your bills, and 20 years or whatever. So the people selling the house quite often will have to pay them off, pay the finance off. If the new owner, the purchaser, doesn't want to take on the finance, which is apparently it's a bit tricky to swap it over and all that, whatever. So that's another thing, and a lot of realtors were commenting on this Yak Motley channel, and that's what they were saying. Don't get solar. Don't get it unless you can pay for it, not on finance, and you don't put it on your roof. That's what I would go for if I was going to get solar. So going back to what I've done a few sums in the past, and even as a backup to power cuts here, which it's not really that much big of a problem. If it was a problem, I would get a Jenny or whatever, or with a key. I wouldn't be pulling cords and all that. I'd get one with a key, a decent size, probably bi-fuel. And it wouldn't be diesel because of the cold weather. It'd be petrol and LPG. Right. There's an ant crawling on them all over the camera. I think it's just jumped off now. Anyway, it was distracting me for a minute. So that's what I'd get if I needed backup power. LPG, you can get a bi-fuel Jenny on a key. It'd have to be a key, because I've had experience of pull cord garbage before, and it's like it's not. It's just they always break these cords forever. We're always breaking. Still saws, chainsaws. It's a real bad system. They should have something a bit better, like a chain or something like that. Anyway, it was supposed to be an advanced society. You're pulling stuff with cords that just break all the time. Anyway, so you get one with electric stock, because I did some sums on the solar, and the best I could come up with was about 600 watts, right, and a Bluetti. So you don't have to go through all the inverters and all that. Just get some panels out in the back garden, which you can put away or cover up, if it's going to be hailstorms, anything like that, or like snow. Just get it. You could just pull them inside or whatever. You can get these flexible ones now. That's what I go for, on a Bluetti. Now I even looked at that and I thought, well, that's going to come a decent one of these decent Bluetti thing. It's going to cost $1,000, and then the panels 800 watts. You're probably looking at €1,500. and then you've got, hook it up and try and hook it up to what you need. And it just, and I'd only be running lights. That's all I'd run off it. So I'm not going to be running the washing machine. It don't work for that kind of thing, Or if it was a very, 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 very long power cut, maybe the fridge, and it wouldn't run that for long. It wouldn't. The Bluetti, but you can charge them, because all the power cuts we get are in heavy snow, and that's when you're not going to be able to get out there. I can't even get out in the back sometimes in the snow, and that's when you get the power cuts. Or adverse weather, Anyway, so that was the takeaway. Don't put them on your roof, and don't finance them, these solar panels, And if you don't have them on your roof, you'd have them on a frame. You could probably, if you moved and you were using them as like a backup and they were working okay for you, then you could take them with you. If you had like, just a backup system. Anyway, so that's that. I get solar water. I would look at that, solar hot water. And but like I've done the sums for that, and I just like, my bills are manageable, very manageable, and I could turn the water off from time to time. I do want to go away in that, but like after time, I just like hot water, because when I was a kid, we had a big family, and the water was, I don't know what size boiler we had, but like we never had any hot water in the house, because it was 6 in the family, and you always go to run a bath and you like get devastated because it's just cold water coming out, and you're covered in mud from football or whatever. You can't have a bath, and then you've got to wait and claim the water. And even then, we only used to get like, a little tiny bit of hot water. And you'd go back too soon, and it wouldn't be hot enough, and it'd just a nightmare. So I always vowed I'm just going to have hot water when I grow up. And that's what I've got. On-demand hot water. That's what you need, on demand. And I had a combi boiler. The last house I had in there, and that was good. Hot water, on demand, fantastic. Anyway, so there's a lot of other things like this, and even the sums now on a house, on these 30-year mortgages, it doesn't pan out. It doesn't, because of the devaluation of the fiat money over 30 years. It doesn't work out. And the maintenance that you've got to do on a house, your house is going to be 30 years older. You would have actually probably had to virtually rebuild it. Or if you look at them in America, the way they're built there. I mean, I've had sheds that are built better than these £1 million houses. They're just matchwood, and with these shingles on the roof. And OSB, that's the like composite like stuff. We only use that on like broken windows in the UK, and maybe some hoarding. I know they do use it in modern houses, some of them, and I've seen them use it in bathrooms, and the bathrooms, you just, when they get wet, your foot goes through them. OSB, that's what it's called, not plywood. OSB. It's like just bits of, sawdust. Well, it's like shavings, actually. It's shavings all stuck together, and then even that breaks down. Without any water or anything, nothing. Just breaks down. I've got some here. Garbage. And they're building £1 million houses with it. Anyway, so it doesn't work. it doesn't work. And the money that you're going to get back for the house, it might sound a lot of money in 30 years, but it isn't. And why would you be selling after 30 years? Because you're going to be old by then, probably. If you're getting a mortgage at 30, you're going to be 60. And what are you going to do after that? The figures don't work out. Mortgages only work out if you're improving a property, or it's like a 5-year plan, and you want to go down the ladder. That's a good way to go with houses. Go down the ladder. Don't go up the ladder. Anyway, these are all things, but there'll be people. There'll be people around who've got solar on credit finance on the roof. They'll have a 30-year mortgage on $1 million house or whatever, or in the UK. What is it? The average is about 260 grand or something like that. You'll have that, and they'll have an EV in the driveway, which is the worst of the lot. The worst prospect you'll ever have is an electric vehicle in monetary terms, in asset terms. The worst. Even a new car with a combustion engine's bad enough, but an EV, if you look at the figures and the resale and the insurance and all that, they're the worst prospect ever. And there'll be people with all three of them things and the rest, because then they'll be in financial trouble with those three things to start with, and then there'll be credit cards up to here, and then they'll be on TikTok then saying, this day and age, I've just bought this. There was another one on just now, yesterday, Yak Motley, and there was all these people going to the fast food places complaining, but they bought the stuff. They're saying, well, I paid $27 for this. It's only like a couple of chicken nuggets for the kids. And they bought it. They've got the price list up in these places. The prices are there. And, if you don't, you can go and get it. If you want chicken, you can get a rotisserie chicken. I think still for about $5 in Costco if you want chicken, and that'll do you for a while. I get rotisserie chickens here. They're €7, and it lasts me 3 days. And if I want to spin it out a little bit, I make a soup. I make bone broth in the winter, especially. But but that's what you can get. And they're talking about like one of these meals, and they get these things of fries. Say, look how many fries is in there. They get about 5 chips, and they buy them, and they'll go back next week and buy them again, like the coffee. How many times you see TikTok rants with people saying, I've just paid £7 for the coffee and I've got it in hand, and you're thinking, and you bought it. And no wonder you're upset. You should be upset with yourself if you're parting with £7 or £5 for a cup of coffee. Anyway, that's my rant. So, and you can finance your dinner now. You can buy now, pay later. DoorDash in America, you can buy now, pay later for your dinner, for your lunch. And you can be buying real food from the shop if you can be asked. Go to a shop or a greengrocer's. They still have them. We've got loads here, Bulgaria, and at this time of year, the stuff they have is fantastic. We're in cherry season now. I love the cherries. They're absolutely fantastic, and they go off straight away, so you know that they're like, these aren't false ones, these are ripe. And if you don't eat them, within 24 hours. They're starting to look like a little cat. The fur. But that's from now on. We get harvest after harvest, seasonal stuff. And my herbs in the back, fantastic. Every day I'm harvesting herbs. So that'll save a little bit of money. Not much, but it does. It does save money when 50 pence a packet, you know. And it's fresh, straight out the garden. I've got dill, which is fantastic now, the dill. Garden cress, which is beautiful here. It's a different type of cress. It's like more of a mustard taste and flavour and spiciness, really. Maybe it is, and they just call it cress here. Maybe it's mustard, a type of mustard. It's just that they call it cress on the seeds. I've got a salvia, which is, what's his name? Sage. Beautiful, great big bush. I can't harvest enough of that. It just goes mad. Lemon balm has really took off this year. Oregano. The mint. I've got like a savoury type of mint. It's not like too sweet. It's really nice, and I've got another one going now, which is really, really nice. I don't know where it came from. It's just come up, and it's really, really tasty. Mint, and so we got everything. And actually, for a bit of salad, say on a burger, I occasionally have a burger. And for the greens, I'm using dandelion leaves. If you get the fresh ones, dandelion leaves do the job. It's probably really good for you rather than lettuce. Lettuce is goes off quick, and it's like the iceberg lettuce. I don't know what they do to that. It lasts forever. I don't know what to do to it. It's just not right. But the other lettuce, it only lasts. You've got to eat it that day. The lettuce they have here. So I just get dandelion leaves out the back, and you can eat clover and all that. Just make it like arugula. Instead of that, you put clover. If you've got maybe a half decent healthy burger, if there is such a thing. Anyway, so do your sums and listen to other people on the TikTok. And when you go and I've just paid this for a coffee, don't do it again. Nobody needs coffee that bad. No one. Get a flask. That's what we used to have in the UK in the old days. The flask. And people used to make the flask with the kettle at work. Used to have these site managers, and it was a habit, and they'd just have a flask. And instead of making a cup of tea time and time again, they'd make a flask, and that was it, because they liked it. It was like a comfort blanket, a little flask. Anyway, or maybe they had something else in it as well. Okay, so that's that. So, and listen to the frugal nutcases. They know they're not in debt. They're not in all the stump what people are in. And there is, all right, the cost of living. But we're in the cost of living as well. Crisis. And it's not, I'm not in a crisis. Well, because of the sums that you do during your life. Cheers.